All right, welcome back to another episode of the Kitchen Table Podcast, where business gets done. I've got my guest today, Jon Paramore, all the way from, I keep wanting to say, I know
St. Louis?
St. Louis.
St.
Missouri.
Louis, Charlotte, all the places, man.
Yeah, Charlotte on the weekends. Well, no, that's not true.
Every other week.
Yeah, every other week. Charlotte every other week, and St. Louis, technically, is that?
Yeah, that's where I'm from originally. Yep.
Missouri is, I've got a couple of peers of mine in Missouri, one of which you've worked with,
Yeah,
Brandon J.
Brandon.
You had him on your podcast?
Yeah.
I had Brandon on, but you actually had him on the podcast. I had him on Zoom.
Yeah. In
So
studio.
I got the knockoff. But you're here.
Yeah.
So, and now you're coaching Brandon, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so like I've got.
I don't like the word coaching, but I'm helping him grow the business.
I can say coaching only in that he called it that. So
Yeah. All right. We'll go with
Brandon didn't call it that. I wouldn't say it that. Trust me. Brandon's not one of the guys, especially coming from where we come from. We might be in the business world now, but I don't want any problems.
Yeah.
So, but in all seriousness, man, we're doing a lot of stuff here. You're here helping me personally.
Yeah.
So, he didn't just fly out for, as cool as it would be.
Just for the
flew
podcast.
out just for the podcast.
Yeah. I mean, I make people fly out just for my podcast.
I've actually had a few people that were like, yeah, bro, I'll fly out. We'll make a bit. I'm like, hey, my podcast studio is in my office, man.
Yeah.
And I squeeze in when I can. But Josh was one of those.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, yeah, we'll fly out. We'll do. I said, Zoom's fine, man. Zoom's fine. But
I like the dedication, though.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I think he was almost like dismissive of like Zoom.
Yeah.
But
too good for Zoom.
at any rate, we got you here because we enlisted your services. We're helping. You are helping us scale the same way that you did Brandon, and there's a lot. I've been in this industry for 16 years now. I've done this 4 different times with 4 different companies, 2 for myself, but I've never gotten past that 10 million mark.
Mm-hmm.
You, for yourself, and I'll let you tell the story. First of all, tell the audience kind of how you got here, if you would be so kind, and why I've enlisted your services, and we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah, I've been in, this is my, let's see, so we're in 2024. This will be my 24th year in the construction space, right? So I was an active owner for 16 years.
Oh, wow.
Built a big company, sold it, started doing consulting work in 2014. So we're going on 10 years of doing consulting work. And so, yeah, we started with a smaller company doing consulting work. They were in the St. Louis area, really great people. We helped scale them up, open new locations with them, things like that. And then it just kind of happened organically. We didn't do a bunch of advertising. We just started putting things out, going to events. Then I started speaking for North America's largest shingle manufacturer, GAF. I was an expert value series speaker for them for a year and a half. Yeah. So on the speaking tour and helping people on that side of thing. And then it kind of got bigger after that. So we have a recruiting agency. We do a lot on the marketing side of things, but primarily, I mean, we grew those agencies to very, very big. And about 2.5 years ago, we kind of brought those down, and now we only do recruiting for our active clients, marketing stuff for our active clients. We don't outwardly talk about or publicize a lot of that stuff. We mostly focus on the grow and scale aspect of it, the consulting side of it, and then if our clients need help with recruiting or marketing or whatever, we help them with that side too. But my expertise comes in the side of all the way if somebody's still at build up side, if they're $1 million or so over and they want to scale, but they just are missing all the systems and process procedures, or they got the right people, but maybe they're in the wrong seat or whatever. It's a lot of just realigning all the things to where it gives them a smoother path, to grow to the organization to whatever size they want to grow it to.
And the only downside of having these tight suits, trying to
you're getting too swole, man.
Oh yeah,
you gotta slow down in the gym.
That's what it is. I had no idea you were a GAF. So, are you familiar with the roof expert, Adam
Sure.
Bensman?
Yeah.
So, Adam is now working with Owens Corning, and that's obviously our preferred manufacturer. But I cut my teeth on GAF. GAF. Did you ever? I don't know if that would have been of any relation to you whatsoever. But Maria was our rep, and Maria is now in Florida, and she's like Jersey, just firecracker of a rep. You know what I mean? Like the type where it's like something's wrong, and she's like takes it personal. Like so, it was really easy to do business with them, and I love GAF, man. They were a great company. It's just Owens Corning. the owner of the company that I last worked at, that consequently also was the last time that I got, screwed. I was going to do air quotes, but there is no air. I was screwed out of money. It's a fact. So, but it was the last time that happened. But he put Owens Corning on his house, and I'm like, what? You sell TAF, you're putting Owens Corning on it. So at least got my eyeballs on it. And anyhow, it's been a pleasure working with them. But I think Maria moving was a big catalyst. But that's really cool, man. I mean, I feel like that says a lot, because you don't get those positions, and they don't just put just anybody. They usually do the research pretty good.
Yeah.
So I had no idea.
I actually I'll date myself a little bit. We started when I first got in the business installing elk. Do you remember elk?
I don't even know. What that is.
So there was a shingle manufacturer called Elk back in the day. Great product. And then I would say probably 2009, somewhere in there, GAF bought Elk.
Wow.
And so then they merged the two technologies together. And so we were kind of transitioned into GAF by our Elk rep.
Wow.
But then we had a big manufacturing issue show up on a shingle that we installed in a large community. And the GAF rep came out and made it right with no questions asked, which kind of put me on the GAF bus a little bit. And then we became Master Elite, and then kind of just took off from there. But now in today's world, though, and I still like GAF, but I'm also like, OC has a really great product. I'm a big fan of the duration, the sure nail, and all of that stuff. And Certainteed. To me, the big three are still running strong. I know a lot of guys install IKO and Atlas and Malarkey and all. That's fine. But that's where I grew up. That's just in my blood, so to speak.
And I couldn't understand why anybody would, and not to, because I by the way, first of all, I consulted. Everybody knows my story, so there's no secrets here. So 6 years now sober, but in year one, a gentleman that was trying to hire me back when I was selling for one of the companies I was working for. I started in 08 selling windows, but that was the thing back then. It really wasn't roofing. At least here, it was windows. They were the Energy Star credits. They were moving like hotcakes. It was a terrible time for the economy, but people were staying put. They were reinvesting back in their homes, and they were buying windows. There was a show about it, like white gold, and then it became roofing. And I often wonder, too, if that, like, cyclical nature of, like, the exterior world, like, pops back around, because you were putting a big emphasis on siding yesterday.
Yeah.
And first of all, the numbers are great. It's a natural 1-2. I mean, in the world I come from, in the retail side, power, windows, they start you windows, siding, roofing, or windows, roofing, siding, I believe was the order, and they might throw some gutters in there. There's doors, but the exterior combo is usually windows, siding, doors, gutters, roof. Those are the things. To them, it's not weird to have those different components. They
kind of all just go together.
Right. And people are like, you need to focus on, to them, they're probably like, we are focusing on one thing, exteriors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's retail.
Yeah.
They're getting the leads the same way. Each product they get quickly with good margins, and you can install them quickly. So there's a theme. They're not doing interiors.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Where there's a bunch of moving pieces. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on, what I was driving at was, I was surprised to hear some of the people that, I don't want to say that I looked up to installing lesser quality shingles, but it was still surprising to see, like, oh man, this guy's putting in Atlas or IKO or Tamco, and I myself put in Tamco at one point. It's just what you would think would be because you're right, the big three: Certainty, GAF, Owens Corning. Period, bar none. There is nothing to debate. But there's a reason behind that, and I'll let you take. I figured it out, but I'll let you explain. Like, when you see that and it's a different market, there's probably a good reason for it. But,
yeah, I just think for me, and again, this is just my personal opinion. I'm not taking this out on any particular manufacturer or any of that good stuff. But for me, those brands have stood the test of time. GAF, OC, Certainteed, right? And then some of these other ones are kind of working their way up. Obviously from a manufacturing standpoint, everything is reasonably close or similar. I know the warranties are a little bit different. I know the way they produce or how they make the shingle is a little bit different, whatever. But in my mind, I've always kind of leaned toward the guys who've been doing it for a really long time. And so I can't talk bad about any of the other products. I could talk bad about one in particularly, but I won't. I think also, obviously let's state the obvious. The big three are a little bit more expensive. Some of the other ones are a little bit less expensive. So guys that are trying to make margin are probably going to install a little bit, one of the lower grade shingles, in my opinion. That's, to me, that's the big difference.
Yeah. And we tried the same thing. We weren't getting what we needed. Our prices weren't coming down, and we told very transparently Owens Corning, like, look, we got to do something. We're getting a better price on this. Regrettably, and I won't throw out, I just did, but like we won't bring it back up. But in the cold weather, it was just not, my guys hated it. They were like, we won't install this anymore, not in cold. Yeah. So,
I mean, let's be honest too. I mean, there are definitely some of the lines of the OC and GAF in particularly that when they're installed, they look night and day different than everything else on the market. I mean, there's not a designer series brand of shingles, and again, in my opinion, that looks better than a GAF, Camelot or slate line or something like that on a roof, right? Yeah. There's just really not a lot of things that can compete with it. So I think it really just comes down to you as an organization. What do you want to stand for? Are you putting something on because you want to make sure that it's not going to leak, you're not going to have a problem with it in the future, things like that, or are you more concerned about the bottom line margin? And I think there's a happy medium in there. I think there's a place to get in there where you can have both. But I've always just erred on the side of I want to do what's right and what's best for the customer and put on the best product. Number one, because it's right for them. Number two, because I'm not really fond of going back and fixing a lot of leak issues and blow off and whatever. So that's just where I stand for it.
And I think that, we put in Owens Corning, so if we can afford to, that's what we do. But you brought up something that I think is a really good point. So you're here, you help people. You mentioned like usually who your target demo is, at least a little bit, but I think a lot of the folks that listen to this show are probably early, your year 1 through 5. Some of them, I say that, and then Adam Champagne comes to mind, who listens to this regularly. He's one of my original mentors that just truly, I don't pay or anything like that, just somebody who is a big name around here. He's the CEO of Home Fix. They're a top 25 remodeling magazine company. They just bought New Look, which is probably another top 25. They're both heavy retail. 99%. They would compete with, like, say, a Power. They're not Power, and Adam, I love you, but he would tell you that. Power, I think, might be $1 billion company now. But at any rate, they're damn close. And what they've created, he's the CEO of that and probably 6 other companies, Pure Finance, Install Services. At any rate, he was getting his hair cut the same place as I was, and like a creepy, stalker trying to get a date. I asked for his number from my barber, and he was like, I'll make sure it's okay. He gave it to me. Asked him if he would have coffee. Dude, he had me meet him at one of his businesses and took me to the other 3 that morning, like bright and early. Meet me, took me all around, just started, what's the net, what's your this, what's your things I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't know that I didn't know. And I had done this already once before, so I'm like, and I had no clue what any of that stuff was. So, that was a really great lesson. And I think for me too, sobriety even, like, it's just taught me so much that when you finally are like, I don't fucking know all of it. I just don't. And you know what? I'm probably never going to know all of it.
I'm 46 and I don't know all of it.
I can always learn more. And you said, I have a coach. I'm learning, right? Like, so it trickles down. Like, you can always find, you may learn more, you may get better, but there's always someone else to learn from. So what would you say the early year 1 through 5 or prospective entrepreneur, anybody looking to get into this market this year, what are the things that you would recommend right off the bat? Like, just some baseline to-dos. We've got Spider-Man in the studio. Sorry,
walking on dust.
Why exactly? We got our videographer literally just like Spider-Manning around. We're trying to keep it here. But what would you say are some big things to do or top 3 for your new businesses in 2024? Like, given the market, given the volatility, all of those things.
I think so. For me, it doesn't matter if you're a zero or you're million or you're 3 million, somewhere in there, the foundation of things has to be set and established, right? And I think a lot of guys get out of the gate, they're quick to produce revenue. They want to get the dollars up as fast as they can. And then like reality sets in that it's not just about the dollars and cents. That's obviously very, very important. But without the fundamental foundational core of, the systems, operations, procedures, processes, SOPs, POAs, all the things in there, you quickly are going to run up against a wall, right? Because your team starts to get lost in the hustle. Maybe you figure out that you got some people on the team that don't belong in the team. I mean, there's just a lot of things. But if I was going to build it all over again, if I was going to start today, if I was just going to say, okay, I'm going to stop consulting, I'm going to rebuild a contracting company, I'm starting with the foundational of all the things, right? I want to have a very solid plan on what I'm going to do with my marketing. Even if it's what I'm going to do is generate leads from door knocking, and I want to make sure my guys know how to go out and door knock correctly. They have a process on how they win. There's an actual mapped out way that they go about doing what they're doing. They're not just, so often what I say is like, there's two types, there's like 3 types of salespeople, but in the world of what we're doing, there's mainly 2. And there's either the ones that like you as an owner hand somebody a machine gun and you send them over a hill and they're not really sure how to use it, but they just start shooting everything. Right. And so they end up, using a ton of energy and they come back with things, but they also made a mess in the wake. Right. Or there's a second type of guy where, the owner is very meticulous, very well thought out, the way that the process they're going to go about it. The strategy is really strong, and the way they execute is really strong. So they create a sniper, right? So they put a sniper in a tree. And so when all the things happen, everything that happens is very coordinated, very direct, very deliberate. So they're still killing, or for lack of a better word, they're still hunting and killing and producing on a very large level, but it's way less chaos. It's much more calm. It's way less messy, right? So I think in the beginning, most people start out and they bring out some sales guys, they hand a machine gun and say, hey man, here's a polo, good luck, and we hear this a lot where the owners are like, I don't know how to train guys. I just know how to sell, right? Okay, well, why don't you write out the process of how you sell? That becomes a training module. Teach these guys to do what you're doing, right? But again, if I could do it all over again, I would legitimately start with a process for all things. I would sit down and go, okay, most guys that get in this industry start as a sales rep somewhere, right? So if they could just start there and go, okay, what do I do every day? How do I go find prospects and start writing all that out? Now they have a process, right? And by the time they call us and they engage, they're typically in a spot where they're like, okay, I'm stuck. Now what? Now what am I supposed to do from this point, right? So it's like, all the things that you thought about along the way to get to here, we're actually going to slow you down enough and create all of that. We're going to put all that in place, and then we're going to polish it up a little bit. We're going to give you a little more training, and then we're going to send you out as a sniper. You and your team from now on are not going to operate willy-nilly with a loaded machine gun. We're going to put a rifle in your hand. We're going to teach you how to use it, and every target that you hit from here forward is going to be very precise and deliberate.
I can't stress enough the importance of that, and I can tell you that from a personal, I have no problem. I mean, again, for me, I think my single best attribute is probably the ability to throw any sort of ego to the side and say, I want to know, because for me, it's the easiest way to my goal. Like, okay, get out of the way. For so many years, like, I let ego keep me, or self-will, something. It's like something like, where I'm like, I can figure this out. And it's either ego or, I don't know. Either way, that's been life firmly took a big step on my forehead when I became homeless. And those things, they tend to humble you. You know? And so I think that coming back from all of that has made it really easy for me to be like, all right, whatever. I want to get to this goal. And the easiest, fastest way is to find somebody who's done it and ask them how to do it. And in this case.
Not to interrupt you, but let's be real, right? And when I first got into this business, there weren't such thing as consultants. There were we had to figure it out. There was no other way, right? We could go ask our competitors, but most guys were so afraid that they had something that you didn't have, they wouldn't even share it with you. So we had to figure it out. So in today's day and age, I tell people this all the time. You don't need to live in the world to figure it out anymore because someone already knows how to do it. You just have to find the guy and create a value exchange of some sort.
Put it on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, it's the information is out there at this point in time, right? Me included, any point in time where I'm in a space of like, I'm thinking about, man, if I could just figure this thing out, I'm like, dude. So I use this term sometimes. You're mentally masturbating. That's all you're doing. You're trying to make, if I just figure it out, then I can give myself the credit. But that's dumb, right? Somebody out there knows how to do what it is that I want to do. My responsibility in figuring it out is figure out who the hell knows it, right? And then engage with them, create some type of value proposition or value exchange, and then away we go, right? Everything now. I mean, I've learned more probably in the last, I would say, 10 years than I did all the other, because I spent so much time in the space of figuring it out, where now it's like, what I know is I can collapse time by creating value exchanges. So if I build relationships with people and we create some type of mutual value exchange, I can collapse the time in which it takes me to learn it. And then what I have to do is just learn it. And it breaks down to, sorry, I get on a rant with these things, but it breaks down to the uber simple, right? Can you generate a lead at will? Can you actually, other than door knocking, can you go generate a lead? Right? If the answer to the question is no, then the thing you need to learn, or the thing you need to quote unquote figure it out, is who the hell knows how to generate a lead at will in this space, and how do I get to meet them, and what's the value exchange that I'm going to provide in order for them to teach me how to go generate leads at will without door knocking. There's nothing wrong with door knocking, but if we can door knock and have this, then now we're really powerful.
Yeah.
Right. So it's the same thing: marketing, sales, operations, recruiting, doing the production thing that we all do. We want to make these things as efficient as possible, right? I'm not saying that they're ever going to be easy, but we want to make them super efficient.
He just described probably like most of you, right?
Sure.
Again, obviously, and that's me, by the way. He's sitting right here, so I'm not like I have a consulting company, for instance, and a coaching company, admittedly, like probably poorly timed. But like my point is, the consulting company was originally created because I didn't have any more energy, or I didn't think I did. I was over trying to be owner, whatever. I really like training salespeople. I liked sales systems because I saw the value. Like, what a concept, a system, a thorough sales system. Even though my natural instinct isn't even to gravitate towards that. But I think that because of some of the chaos and that once I saw that worked, it was so attractive. And I love teaching it to other folks. And I just take what I learned at Power, what I learned here, and condense that. And then it's very similar to Adam's SLAP or whatever it is, his acronym. But it's just predicated on rapport, emotion, building value, creating urgency, like you said, problem, solution, feature, benefit. I mean, it's all the same system components. But my point is, even then, what I think is my biggest frustration is that I have a consulting company that focuses on training sales reps, and I don't feel like I train my sales reps enough. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's the truth. I feel like it's like I try, or I that's not my only job right now.
Sure.
So I try, but like, trying is not doing, or they got a little bit, and we have a system for door, like, okay, when you knock the door, it's the 3 W's, and then it's this, and then it's this, and here's this. But do they really know it? How well do they really know it? Does everyone really know it? Is everybody on? It's just knowing the importance of that has led me to, I need some help. Like, we knew we needed to audit our systems over this winter. That was our whole plan. We talked about it, but we kept talking about it. Mm-hmm. We weren't taking any action. We blocked off mornings for all winter, and we're going to audit all of our stuff, and we're going to make it all. We weren't doing it, and we wouldn't probably have done it, to be honest with you. So Brandon, thank God, was like, look, man, I think that this could really help you. He met some of my guys and they're all new. I mean, it was just a recipe for like brand new guys, couple left over, auditing everything, systems, all this stuff, trying to get it all done at one point, and you're trying to do it essentially by yourself because they don't know. They don't know the system. Mm-hmm. You got a bunch of new guys, so get out of your own way is what I would say. And look for a John. And this isn't like a promotional or anything like that. This is just straight. It doesn't have to be John. Anybody. Find an Adam, right?
And there's a lot of good guys out there, right? I think when I'm looking for a consultant or a quote unquote coach, I'll talk about why I don't like that word, but I try to find people that are in alignment with my values, believe similarly to what I believe, speak to me in a way that I want to be spoken to, and so I'm pretty direct. Like if you haven't figured that out already, but I'm pretty direct in how I speak. I believe in making sure that and all the clients that I work with know I'm not there to waste anybody's time. So I don't play patsy or grab ass or any of that stuff. But there are some consultants and coaches that are a little more gentle in their approach. So I'm grateful that there's in today's world, there's a group of people that are experts that do understand this industry as a whole. And you get to as a human go, okay, which one of these guys am I most in alignment with, and pick that person and go to work with them, right? And sometimes it takes one to get you to one level, and then it'll take you another one to get to a different level, so on and so on. So that's also something to consider, right? Not all guys have been where I've been. I haven't been where some other guys have been, so I think there's just a stepping stone in that too. So
I love that. Why don't you like the word
coach? I think it gets overplayed. So a few years, like let's go back like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, there really wasn't that many quote unquote coaches in the market. Now it's like there's coaches out there that'll talk to you about what coffee to drink in order to take a shit in the morning, right? I mean, it's just like everybody wants to be a coach for all things, right? Like there's probably podcast coaches out there. There's probably how to use a user board coach out there. There's how to make awards coach out there, right? So I don't like that word coach. Like to me, I coach people, I think, just naturally in general. I have children, so I'm my kids' coach just in general, but I'm also like their leader. I'm their dad. I'm an advisor type of thing. But in the world of business altogether, I'm not really coaching you on shit, bro. I don't have to tell you to go get your ass up in the morning and go to the gym. I don't have to tell you how to dress. I don't have to tell you how to brush your hair or any of that shit. I consult you on what I feel are some solid practices of how to grow your business, and then once in a while we got to have some conversations about life in general if you get off track or whatsoever. But my job is not to coach you. My job is to consult you or be a guide to you and just give you a little bit of a clear path for you to operate inside of. And then if you did want my advice on something in particular, maybe I'd coach you in that, but that's not my job, man. My job is to consult you on what it is that you need. And that's pretty much it. So I like the word consultant. Consulting's been around for years and years and years and years and years. A good friend of mine works at Ernst & Young, which is a monster consulting company for $1 billion organization. So he's not coaching people either. He's going in and auditing people's books and saying, bro, you got somebody embezzling shit from you right here. So, that kind of thing. But yeah, anyway, so I just have a stigma around it. I think there's too many people, you go out and build a funnel tomorrow on Go High Level, and you can run some Facebook ads. Now you've been doing it for less than a year, and now you're trying to coach people on it. That's horse shit, entry, man. Yeah, I mean, so anyway, that's my rant.
Oh, we could go on and on because and I wasn't looking. I have Baden Consulting, and that was also kind of like a conflict. Baden Consulting was my first company that I started.
Yeah. When
I was at the last company, I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I got it in me. Like I'd done the couple startups. I wasn't the owner. And that was ultimately like, all right, maybe if I'm calling the shots, like, because it was like sales manager, then VP, then it's like there's nowhere else to go, but that's the last stop. You know what I mean? Or like partner at the very least. But when I started the consulting gig, I was like, why don't I just stick to what I like? I like training salespeople. I like building sales teams, and a lot of guys get stuck. Like, how do you recruit salespeople? Like, I've been very fortunate. Like, it's been easier. It's been easier for me. It's been easier for me, but I think that's because I was probably taught well. Now, you're here to help me expand on that. But like me comparatively to somebody who doesn't know anything, there's a consulting opportunity there.
Yeah.
But
you have a way that you do it that works really, really well. It just needs to be put into a process. So when you decide one day, like, hey, I'm going to exit the company, I want to make sure whomever takes over next has a well-oiled machine without me being there of how to exactly repeat what I've been doing, right? Duplicate what I've been doing.
So important, man. And again, that's what Jon is so far. He's been an absolute pleasure, man. I'm really excited to, outside of, and there's a lot of things too, you bring somebody in, what's the point of bringing them in if you just don't listen to anything, as hard as it may be. And there are a lot of hard things, especially when it comes to people and stuff like that. But speaking of which, we got some folks waiting on us. We got to get to work. We just came in a little early. My dog wouldn't cooperate, and he probably still is out there doing terrible stuff. But I'm like nervous because I don't hear him. But in all seriousness, man, I'm really looking forward to this year.
Yeah.
I was 2024 definitely has some asterisks there, like as far as who knows what. We can't control any of that crazy shit. But as far as what we can control, we're going to get after it, man. I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to it. And I agree, by the way, coaching, that shit, I don't even want to get into that because I was so disappointed to learn, like, the nuances of just, like, how little the barrier for entry was. Like, once I got into it, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm not really looking to do this right now because I have this consulting thing that I picked up one client last year. And that one client was only because that one client was a friend of mine. I knew they weren't going to be super needy.
Yeah.
And, like, I was very clear on the terms. And it was a 90-day turnkey. And we did it. And they're great. They work great. Gave me a white labelable process. Probably should show you that because it's not as pretty, but it is systematic. It could definitely be even better. But it was good enough to get them to where they needed to be. And they promote what we do.
Yeah.
But even that is more than, like, Joe Blow who, like, got out of prison and, like, does push-ups and now he's going to be a life coach. It's fucking
everywhere.
nuts. I'm like, bro, what do you even do? I don't know what you do. I have no clue what you do. But you got him a Ferrari and a nice house and somehow you're going to coach me on something. I don't know what. I met a guy, and I'll finish with this. I met a guy at the Utah at the Limitless thing.
Yeah.
He was the DJ there. He was friends with all the big guys, and Ed was there and all that stuff. So I was like, you know, probably a little starstruck, but I was talking to him, and he's like, you know, my only problem with the whole coaching thing is just there's literally no barrier for entry. There's no qualifications. There's no test or certification. Like, anybody can just decide, like, you know, I'm going to be a life coach or this coach today, and I'm just going to push somebody to push my stuff or pay somebody to push my stuff, rent a Ferrari, rent this, go to the gym, and here I am, right? And it's just like, that is so gross, and it's very prevalent.
Yeah.
But you got to do your homework, and you got to ask for receipts, and you got to do things like, you know, John was recommended a couple times over, and then Brandon J., who was a good friend of mine, somebody you trust implicitly. They don't have no reason to BS you. They benefit none from it other than helping you. And I watched the proof in the pudding with Brandon because I knew thoroughly where he was prior to you. Success, yeah, I knew exactly where he was at, though, and watched him like, hey, I'm planning to scale to 20, ended up doing like 35, and I know, you know, there were storms and stuff. I know you didn't do the work. They did the work, but you definitely helped them put those systems and processes into place.
And listen, man,
from 10 to 35.
Yeah. I don't ever, I will never, ever take credit for the work, the hard work that you guys do, right? My sole responsibility is to be a guide, is to just give you guys, you know, like Elise and I talk about often. It's like, you know, you're standing at the bottom of a mountain looking up, and you've crawled your ass or grinded your ass off to a certain level, and now you want to go the rest of the way up the mountain, and really all you can see right now is trees. But then I pop out of those trees, and I'm like, bro, I know a path. If you'll actually do, I'm not going to carry your ass up the mountain, but if you'll walk or run as necessary, I'll show you where the path is, right? And then you guys got to do the work, right? It's just, I've had clients lose 50, 60, 70 pounds. I've had clients restore marriages, you know, things like that. But that's not me doing the work for them. They got to do the hard shit. I just give them clarity on the path to take.
And that's all. That was so refreshing to me because I knew Brandon, and they had to. You have to. I already knew that they did the physical work.
Yeah.
But I also knew that there was absolutely no way. I can tell you personally, without taking the time to stop and input systems based on how we are currently, and this is just, I think any business, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10xing over the span of 6 months, and they don't make any changes, is going to be
and they don't implode.
Serious shit.
Yeah.
And well, they're going to probably, unless
they've got clarity.
And so the proof to me was in the pudding. Like, you know what? I need that. I need that because we're attempting to do the same.
Yeah.
And I don't think, and I'm not going to get all weirdo. I don't think it's weird to be religious, but I'm just saying the coincidence is there. Brandon's like, he's a few years ahead just because of, you know, I've got 2 companies that I had or whatever. But if I hadn't split, we'd probably be on the same timeline. But comparatively, we're kind of like right there in terms of like he clipped everybody down to 1, went from 5 to 7 to that 10. You know, we did 7 something. I mean, collectively as a unit, we're probably closer to 10 because of the roofing, the bathrooms, and the solar. But at any rate, we're very close in like our goals and what we're trying to do. And seeing that, the proof's in the pudding. I mean, I don't know if you guys understand that, but like to go that wide of an expansion over that short a period of time, if you don't have the systems in place, you're going to be bad. Serious shit.
Yeah.
You won't sustain. So, John, thank you so much, man. Do you have any final thoughts? And where can people find you?
Yeah. So, number one, no, I don't have any final thoughts, but we got to come back. You know, like we got to book something in like a year from now.
Yes.
6 months and then a year from now, and
yes.
and see where things go. But
I think 6 months even would be awesome because I sincerely hope that'll be spring. I think we'll have built.
Yeah.
I'd be really interested, and then a year. But like the 6 month mark would be exciting for me.
Should have a lot of momentum at that point.
I think we will. Yeah. I mean, we have so many goals that are predicated around spring. I almost like this office is secured. These people are in here. We got this many reps. But I mean, that's putting the heat on. But I would love to do that.
Yeah, I'm at Jon Paramore Paramore on Facebook, Instagram. I even have some stuff on TikTok. But you guys can go to thesmashco.com. That's the website. It's being redone. You guys are going to see that pop up. But I also have a podcast called Drop the Hammer. We did 100 episodes under the Go to War podcast, which was all mindset. Drop the Hammer we're bringing it back around to the business side of things. So it's going to be very deliberately business based.
I love that. Yeah. That's awesome, man. And Brandon was just on that. So fantastic. We'll have to get ourselves into scalability and rock and roll, and then we'll have to hop out there.
Oh, yeah.
But, brother, thank you so much.
And
we'll look forward to seeing you guys in 6 months so you can see the growth and his hard work and our hard work at work. All right.
See you.
See you next time.
Yep.